What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Mark Out Wrestling with your hosts, Anthony and Glenn. I, of course, am Glenn. Anthony, again, is sitting this one out. So, once again, this week we have Rich with us.
What is up?
What's going on, Rich?
Not a whole lot.
So, this episode, we're going to talk about Raw, talk about SmackDown, get into a little bit of NXT. We also want to veer off a little bit, talk about some other news, maybe get into some ROH, maybe some New Japan. But where do you want to start at? You want to start out with the big news this week?
What episode are we on?
I do believe this is episode 10.
Episode 10?
10.
Yes.
10.
Okay.
All right.
Where do you want to start? You want to start with the WWE news?
Yeah, let's just start out with WWE. Let's just give our rundowns of Raw and SmackDown. Let's get those out of the way. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on that this week, if that's all right with you.
Sounds good.
All right, you want to go ahead and lead us into this?
Well, do we want to start with kind of the biggest story that came out on Monday, or do you want to start with maybe some smaller news?
So that news, I want to talk about that separately.
Okay.
So let's just get a rundown of the card, the matches that happened. So do that quickly.
Basically, opening promo was Miz doing Miz TV, the most must-see live television segment.
That guy is so good.
I don't think there's a better talker on the roster right now.
Well, it's Enzo, obviously. That's why he's getting the spot he's in. I
disagree with that with every inch of my soul. No, Miz is, he's so good at what he does.
I feel like he's a little underrated with the fans, too, because I still think there are a lot of fans that refuse to get behind him.
I think they have this, stigma with him where he's, they see him as boring. And I don't understand that to a sense that, his past 10 feuds, you could say, other than maybe a stale one with Dean, have been great.
Right.
His stuff with John was hilarious. His stuff recently here has been good.
With the Dean Ambrose thing, I don't even want to say it was stale. It just went on way too long.
Right.
Because it went on SmackDown, and they both got drafted to Raw, and then we got the exact same feud over again. So when it first started, I was all behind it.
Yeah. And then it was like you said, took way too long to do anything with it.
Right.
Really didn't go anywhere. Didn't give us anything new, anything exciting. So
for sure.
So that happens. We will get to what happens in that segment a little later on. Post that, I believe, kind of later in the night, we got a Justin Jordan against
Jason Jordan.
My bad. You can tell how much I favorite him. Jason Jordan versus, I can't remember who he faced, but he brought out a new move.
Right.
It was kind of an Apollo Crews-esque backpack turned into an upright neck breaker. Looked really good. I said this maybe 2 episodes ago when we did our coverage of our kind of wrap up of pay-per-view, and I said he wasn't really one of my favorites, wasn't my favorite to watch or anything like that, but he's starting to grow on me. Mic work, obviously, he hasn't been on the mic lately, so I can't judge that, but just based off his in-ring work, he is starting to, I feel, come out of a box. I am kind of tempted to see where this goes in the whole him and Angle type thing, like what they decide to do with this, if he's going to get a heel turn and maybe go on a tear, if they're just kind of draw this out as long as possible. So,
do you think this will eventually lead to a heel turn for him?
It could. I don't know where they go with him in terms of the card and who he faces. So if it does turn into a heel turn, if it doesn't go into a main storyline, like I said with Kurt, I don't really see him doing anything near a belt anytime soon. I don't think he's ready for that. So I think the story, whatever it encompasses with him, stays away from any title scene.
So you don't see him going back into the IC title against The Miz? Because I assume The Miz is going to be holding the title for a while. I just don't know anybody else that's ready to take it from him that's not already wrapped up in ridiculous feuds, to be honest. Yeah.
My take on The Miz and the IC title thing, I see him breaking Honky Tonk Man's record. I don't know how far out he is. I don't know exactly what the number is. I want to say it's around a year and a half left. I could be wrong, but from what I've read on rumor mills and whatnot, and just what I've seen on TV, they're keeping that belt on Miz long term, at least through Mania, if not longer.
And I'm fine with that.
I am too. I love the Miz. I like I said, I love what he does. His promos are hilarious to me. He's gotten a really good reaction with a lot of his kind of shoot from the hip. Like, I'm gonna state facts and they're true, but I'm going to use them in a wrestling promo and use them against my opponent type promos. And like I said, I think they work beautifully for him.
He beat Carl Anderson, by the way. That's who Jason Jordan beat on Raw.
Just, nobody Carl Anderson, quote unquote. Again, just running him and Gallows into the dirt.
Right. So then second match, we got Apollo Crews versus Elias Sampson again.
But you didn't mention that when Elias came out to play his guitar, he wanted to sing a song, and he was rudely interrupted by the leader of Titus Worldwide, Mr. Titus O'Neil, playing a banjo.
Right. I didn't mention that because it was trash.
It was. You couldn't tell by my sarcasm.
There's not really much to say about this match. This is the same match we've seen week after week. Elias winning again. The one interesting note from this match was Elias doing old school.
Yep.
Now, I think he's calling it Walk with Elias, which makes sense. But Bubba Ray tweeted out after that, he was like, hey, last time I rolled my eyes, I got a call from The Undertaker. You're in big trouble, man. And I don't believe that to be true. I would imagine that is something that he would have got approval from WWE.
I think pretty much anything in WWE's playbook that a lot of guys are using, you can kind of point towards Dolph doing a lot of the Hall of Famers entrances and whatnot.
Sure.
The Ultimate Warrior and whatnot. I don't feel that that's not getting approval somewhere in WWE, whether it's through creative, whether it's through Vince himself. I don't think any of these are getting a thumbs up or an okay without first going through, some of the higher ups, along with, that match. Like you said, it is the same thing we've seen. I feel like WWE is slow burning Elias for maybe a mid-card push, and it could be something, I don't know, something in the IC title picture later down the road. We get The Miz loses the belt to whoever. Maybe it is, Jason Jordan and Elias is the one to then contend for that, possibly. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd be all right with that. I think Elias would make a good IC champion.
Oh, definitely.
I can see him as a main eventer, but he needs that slow build.
Right.
Something that we didn't get with Jinder, for him to really work, because he's like textbook definition of somebody who just like was there in NXT, but has managed to shine.
He is the
once
male
he
version
got
of Alexa Bliss, who has not yet won a title shot and hasn't necessarily gone as far as she has with his limited time on the roster.
Sure.
But the amount of heat he draws.
I know.
Like, playing with the crowd and doing the whole, I was going to sing you a song, but now I'm not, and then the crowd cheers, and now he's like, oh, well, I'm going to sing anyway because I like the sound of my voice. Like, stuff like that you can't teach.
Right.
Like, the impact that your words have on a crowd, you cannot teach in wrestling. You either have that charisma or you don't.
Absolutely.
And, I don't think we got enough of a glimpse on it in NXT to see what he has now become. I mean, he's taken the ball and ran with it.
Right.
Definitely. So
after that match, we got the Enzo Amore promo. What?
Enzo.
Well, I mean, say what you want about the guy, but
he draws. But
he's brought attention to the cruiserweight division.
But for fans that weren't fans of anyone on the cruiserweight roster prior to Enzo going there, a lot.
Well, that doesn't matter.
A lot of us who are network subscribers for only $9.99 love the Cruiserweight Classic.
Yeah, but they're not worried about us.
Right.
They're worried about people that aren't watching
they're
it.
Worried about people who are spending $20 sitting upstairs.
That's where Enzo comes in
town. I like that guy that says "Bada boom, realest guy in the room." And yeah, I agree that they're definitely drawing more attention to it. I can't get over the fact that someone's demotion was getting put into the title picture right away in a division that he wasn't necessarily in to begin with, then getting that belt, and another issue is now causing some guys to be so flustered with that decision and maybe that choice that they don't necessarily want to play ball anymore.
Spoiler alert.
We can get into that a little bit later, but it's definitely rearing its ugly head in terms of that decision, possibly.
Right, but I mean, again, like I said, say what you want, but this is 4 weeks in a row that Enzo is, that the cruiserweights are closing out Raw, yep. And this week it was, closed out with with a title match,
right, and title change.
Yeah,
spoilers.
Yeah.
What's your viewpoint on that? What do you think? Do you think this was the right call, or do you think this was a hey, it's the anniversary or birthday rather of Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah.
Let's flip the belt real quick. And do you think it changes hands again?
I definitely think it changes hands. My guess would be at TLC they have their rematch and Enzo wins the title back.
Do you think that's a stipulation match? Is it going to be maybe a pre-show? Takes up the entire pre-show kind of stuff.
I don't know. I don't. I mean, I can't see it being on the pre-show, right? Because you don't have them closing out Raw just multiple weeks in a row and then be on the pre-show.
70% of your audience doesn't see.
Right, exactly.
I could see that.
As far as like my view on it, though, I don't think it was the right call. I mean,
not given the time frame, because it feels like Neville had the belt. And he lost it to Tozawa for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
There was hardly a build.
Yeah.
Neville won dirty and then lost the belt the next time. And it was like Tozawa hadn't had time really to get hot in that feud.
He won the title back 6 days later.
6 days later. And not the fact that Neville lost it, but he lost it on Raw.
Right.
He won it at his pay-per-view rematch.
Yeah.
So Neville's been dominant with this belt. And Enzo beats him on the first try?
Yeah. Yep.
Like, booking standpoint, that doesn't make sense.
Not at all.
Then, in Kalisto's 205 title, first shot at the belt, he wins. Mm-hmm. There's no story here. It's literally just, hey, let's throw the belt somewhere and hope it sticks.
Right.
If this turns into Kalisto going on a Neville-esque tear because of what we're going to talk about here in a minute, it's like they're trying too hard to make people care about something they're not going to care about.
Well, the problem is with this match is like this wasn't even supposed to be the scheduled match. The scheduled match was supposed to be Enzo versus Neville in a non-title match.
And Neville losing.
Right. So I don't know if this was just WWE like panicking at the last minute and then saying, "Hey, let's give these people something." Like I don't know the thinking behind it. It doesn't make sense to me. It was extremely rushed, and not to say that I don't think Kalisto can be a good cruiserweight champion, because ever since the division came back, I always said, why is he not in that division? It doesn't make sense.
If Neville wasn't the headliner of the division, it needed to be Kalisto.
Sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, the timing of everything's a little odd. The story, the backstage story that's surrounding this whole thing is really odd. And that's something that we're going to touch on a little bit later.
One last thought on this match. Regardless of my standpoints on Enzo and regardless of how anybody else feels, I felt this match was probably his best on the card.
Yeah.
And not in the card in terms of Raw, but in terms of a singles competition with Enzo in it.
Right.
I felt like this was definitely a better display of what he might be able to do wrestling-wise. He's still not the greatest, but it felt more fluid of a match. It didn't feel so restricted in so many, iffy spots that were just drawn out. Like the superplex onto the group of cruiserweights was a great spot. The Salida del Sol off the top rope was great.
For the finish, yeah. That was really cool.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was a good match for what it was. It's just the story is not there, and it's not lining up with what they're making as decisions.
Absolutely. So. All right, from the small men to the monster among men, Braun Strowman faced off against Matt Hardy.
Braun Strowman tried to murder Matt Hardy.
Now this with Matt Hardy, they are literally just like putting him in random matches because of Jeff being hurt.
Yeah. And supposedly Jeff is supposed to be on TV sometime in December.
Oh.
He's booked for...
I mean, he's not wrestling, obviously.
No. But he will supposedly be on television at that point.
So, what, just like following Matt to the ring?
Probably in a not managerial role, but a hey, I'm here, I'm not dead type scenario. And maybe that's when they pull the trigger, if at all, on this gimmick. I don't know what the story is on their lawsuit with Double J over at Impact or whatever their name. It's Global Force Impact or something. Like, they changed their name again.
Well, Jeff Jarrett isn't even involved anymore.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, he's not involved anymore.
In Global Force Impact Owl.
Yeah, I think it's back to just Impact Wrestling. Okay. But I'm not much to say in this match. Matt Hardy did hit the Twist of Fate, and Braun kicked out at 1. So,
should have done that to the F5. That's a different story.
Whatever. The big news. What did you want to say something? Go ahead.
Well, I mean, are we going to touch base now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Braun goes to. He's like, does the whole "I'm not finished with you" attempted murder cry and starts making his way up the ramp with Matt Hardy in tow on his shoulder. And out come three musketeers, so to speak, of the Hounds of Justice. The Shield has reformed, obviously, on Miz TV. We kind of got that where Roman shot down the fact that Miz used the term rumors. How did you feel the execution of their reforming went? Because I felt personally that it was
lackluster,
underwhelming.
Yeah.
To see, the whole Roman saying what rumors, like that felt cool.
Right.
And then we got Dean and then Seth's music, which I love Seth's new music, but as much as I love that sound, I would have loved to hear the call-outs.
Do you think that we do that eventually, or do you think like it's just going to be those three entering by themselves and we're not going to get...
I feel like they do it at TLC just to get the pop in that main event, because that is now the main event of TLC is a triple... or
it's 4-on-3. 4 against 3.
Is Braun involved?
Braun's in the match now?
Yeah. Okay. So it's the Shield versus Miztourage plus Braun.
Well, it's the Shield versus the Miz in the bar.
The Miz bar.
And yes.
Miz Braun. Baron.
Miz Baron.
Versus the Shield. No, I definitely feel like we get the call out, and I don't know if they're going to come through the crowd, because I know later when Roman was still doing it, the whole reason they stopped is because he was starting to get physically assaulted almost in the crowd.
Yeah.
I don't think having Seth and Dean there is going to prevent that at all.
Oh, I
from
do.
A maybe drunk Roman hater.
Oh, I definitely do.
But, I think we get it at TLC, definitely. I don't know. Then when, you look on Twitter and people are taking pictures of the merch stand prior to Raw even starting, and they're selling the new Shield merch, spoilers, WWE, you can't sit here and tell us it's going to happen and then want us to be even more excited, because it's not going to happen. And what do you see? A lot of people are saying that this is probably just a way to get Roman over. Do you see it as that, or we would get maybe a longer stay of the Shield?
I definitely think that this is a way to get Roman over. I do not think it is the only reason that they put them back together.
You want to elaborate on that?
Well, so just because, obviously they need to get Roman over. I mean, they've done everything they can besides turning him heel and bringing the Shield back. So now it's, hey, let's bring the Shield back. But I just feel like this was in the making. Like, we were going to get the Shield back at some point or another. And why not now? I guess you don't have your champion on TV. Your cruiserweights again are closing out Raw. You need something to keep fans interested, and this seems like the biggest thing they could have done to do that. As far as how long I think it'll last, maybe to the end of the year. My guess is that this is going to lead to probably Dean Ambrose turning on them, him turning heel, and Dean and Seth having a match at WrestleMania.
I can see that.
Would be my guess. So the end of the year, early next year, because you got to start getting that feud built up. Right. But this felt like the old Shield. They attacked the Bar, the Miz, and then they went after the biggest, baddest guy, that's there right now on the roster, and pretty much, destroyed him with ease.
Right.
It felt like the old Shield, but at the same time, it felt like this dude just laid 2 of you out, 2 weeks in a row. Right. So, I mean, is it from the 3 of them, or is it Roman that is the difference maker?
Exactly.
But they put him through the announce table, which was a cool spot. I love the triple power bomb.
I think it would have been cool had Braun used, because he rolled off and then kind of laid on the ground. If he would have rolled off and kind of just leaned against where the table was, kind of maintain his mantra of you can knock me down, but I'm not staying down. I think that would have been a cool addition to that. I didn't hate it. I do feel that I agree with you. They're probably getting to the end of the year. I agree with Dean probably being the 1-2 split up if that's the route they choose to go, which everybody kind of sees that coming, so they could swerve us.
Make it Seth again? Because I don't think it's going to be Roman, because it's still Roman versus Brock at Mania. It's still what's in the cards.
The reason I could see them doing Seth again is because heel Seth works, first off, and the bringing him back not as a face was the wrong move. And this could be a way to, keep Roman face, because that's pretty much their goal for the next 20 years. And you also kind of maintain Dean's babyface style, considering the only thing he really gets is a pop of the crowd.
Right. Are you excited about it, though?
I am. I don't think that I'm going to be let down by it, but I expect a little more than what I've been shown so far.
So here's my question. After they do whatever it is they're going to do with the Bar and the Miz, like, is this the only feud they're going to have up until the turn?
I don't want to think so.
Because
I don't think that you bring the Shield back for the Miz. I feel like this could lead into Roman v. Brock in some way. Maybe needing the Shield members to get there. I don't see them drawing the Shield out until April to do so, or late March.
But there's no other there's no other tag teams in the division that they would need the three of them to beat.
The only thing that I could see them doing is turning Finn heel
and getting the Balor Club.
And for 2 or 3 weeks down the road, the Shield is not away, off screen or anything, but these two stories are nowhere near each other. The Shield's off doing their thing. Gallows and Anderson go on a little tear. They have a singles match against somebody that they run through them. Suddenly, Gallows and Anderson are starting to build fuel, or build steam, and you see Seth and Dean need to defend their tag titles at Rumble, let's say. What if at the same time you've got a singles fatal 4-way or something similar where somehow Finn wins and either Roman, Seth, or Dean is involved? You're starting to plant seeds into a feud that could get you from the end of this year to Mania. Balor Club is worthy of that. Bullet Club, whatever you want to call it, since they're using a whole bunch of cease and desists on Too Sweet for whatever reason. You could see a heel Finn Balor leading Gallows and Anderson into WrestleMania for a Shield v Balor Club for tag titles or whatever.
But that's not going to happen.
Maybe not Mania worthy, but and I agree with you. I don't think we get Balor Club if it hasn't already happened.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think in NXT and in his initial call up, that was the plan. I feel like when he got hurt, they were like, okay, we don't know what to do. But that would be my fantasy booking, is to see Shield v Balor Club at some point in the next few months, because you're not going to reunite the Shield for a third time.
Right.
Unless, they're playing DX and this is, 10 years down the road. It's one of those glory moment tour kind of deals. I don't see that happening.
Sure.
But I am excited. This is one of the things that I and a lot of people are looking forward to and seeing what they do with it. So
yeah. All right. So after that, we got Mickie James promo. Then we got Cruiserweight match. Don't really want to talk about either one of those things because I want to talk about what happened after that. Again, this whole Bray Wyatt Sister Abigail thing, it is mind-boggling. I don't know your opinion on it. I've got mine.
You go ahead, because I kind of took that last little segment by the reins. I'm gonna let you start this one. So
I don't understand it. Right? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. We've been told Sister Abigail is this person that chose Bray Wyatt when he was a kid, and she's a witch, and blah 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 blah. And but she's dead, but she's not dead, and now she's possessing Bray Wyatt. So here's my question: where the hell are they going with this? At TLC, if Bray Wyatt walks out in a fucking dress, I am going to cancel my subscription. I'm going to be that guy. Everybody says they're going to. I will be like, what in the hell is going on in WWE?
And then you're going to turn around and ask for my email, right?
Yeah, this is not Mrs. Doubtfire. You know what I mean? It's a slap in the face to Bray Wyatt's character, in my opinion. If they wanted to have Sister Abigail possess somebody, it could have easily have been somebody down in NXT, maybe somebody that's not in the company right now, but it could have been a female. She could have been his valet, his manager, whatever you want to call it, and that would have been fine. But to have this man, wearing a veil on camera, talking feminine-ish. I don't know what the hell they're doing. So what do you think? Like, what is your opinion on this?
Okay. So I'm going to weigh in a little hard on WWE right now. So I don't remember who the female superstar is, but she's under WWE contract. She tweets out a picture that says "They all will burn" or something like that with a silhouette of a female.
She was in the Mae Young Classic.
She was in the Mae Young Classic. She was. But as of right now, she is still under WWE contract. So she tweets that out and says #Raw, and this was either Sunday night or Monday morning. And so everyone's speculating, oh, they're using her as Sister Abigail. They do this segment, and Bray talks about how she's still alive. Well, I mean, technically, you told us she was burnt. This kind of feels very parallel to the 9 different versions of the Kane and Undertaker story we got, where like the parents died and Kane died, but he didn't die.
Paul Bearer was their uncle, but now he's their dad.
And Kane was burned, but then you find out it was only mental scars, and it's like just this WWE doesn't think that we pay attention as much as we do. So then the next week we get Bray Wyatt, obviously in a veil and face paint. First thing, and I don't necessarily like what they're doing. I get what they're trying to do. The first problem I have with it is the fact that Finn Balor, Fergal Devitt, if you want to use his real name, Prince Devitt over
I do
New
not.
Japan,
He is not. He is
Finn Balor. He will forever be Finn Balor.
We're not on first name basis.
When he was in New Japan, he painted himself up. He did this in ICW. He's done it a long time in his career, and he doesn't do it all the time. It's something very special that I feel like I mentally put that with that wrestler. He does it when story calls for it. It's his gimmick. It's his thing. It's how he separates himself from the rest of the roster. So, Demon, awesome. Demon entrance, what I look forward to when I watch a Finn Balor match other than really good wrestling. Now, you've got a second wrestler on the same roster, on the same brand, that also decides to paint himself up spooky, extra spooky, to get a one-up. And it feels like WWE is trying to tell the same story with 2 different wrestlers. That Bray Wyatt can't beat Demon Finn or normal Finn now, so he needs to get extra spooky when his gimmick is already spooky. This is different than Finn Balor being Joe Cool, and then, oh, you pissed him off, you're about to get the Irish Demon. It just feels so convoluted as a story, and it feels like WWE is drawing out yet another Bray and someone else feud, and they're like, hey, now would be a great time to do this. And I don't get the whole Bray being possessed. As you said, the story tells us that Sister Abigail's been dead, then she wasn't, then she got burned by Randy, now she's somehow still alive.
Randy.
But it doesn't make sense. Then you put Bray in face paint, you put him in a veil, and you start changing his voice, and you're like, oh, I mean, conceptually it's cool.
Right.
It's just so... I mean, he's been talking about Sister Abigail for 3.5 years.
Yeah.
And this is the first time we see her. I'm using air quotes. You see her, and it's still Bray. I don't get it. I don't get why we're doing this at TLC. This match isn't obviously going to be a stipulation of any kind other than who has a cooler entrance. Maybe
it's going to be a bra and panties match. What are you talking about?
As much as that's funny, like, I hate laughing because it's just... It's so weird. Like, your first ever Universal Champion is now in a feud basically for his gimmick. Because if he loses, then obviously this is going to continue, and then Demon Finn's going to win. Is he Demon Finn in this match, or is he Joe Cool Finn? And then he's going to lose, and then he has to be Demon Finn against Sister Abigail, and then we get Sister Abigail teleporting into a woman, a female wrestler? How does this go? This doesn't make sense.
I think we have thought this through way more than WWE has.
I bet you're right. Like, I guarantee you there wasn't a lot. It was like, it'd be cool. Let's paint Bray's face. Let's kind of, shadow him up a little bit. Let's change his... Oh, yeah, that works. Okay, what's next week? Fuck if I know.
Yeah, it literally probably went down. Somebody went up to Vince and was like, Vince, Bray's going to be a girl. And Vince was like, brilliant!
Yes.
Let's do it!
Yep.
I don't know where they go from here.
I
want this feud to be done.
I want it to be done prior to their last match.
Yeah.
There's no reason Demon Finn should not be the end of a feud.
Right, exactly.
And I'm very biased because Finn's probably one of my top 5 on WWE's roster right now. I don't see why his end-all, be-all gimmick, his Demon King, whatever they call it now, I don't see why that's not the exclamation on a feud.
Yeah.
It needs to be.
I agree. I don't know what WWE is doing right there.
So frustrating.
But let's go from one badass kind of to another. So we had the Fatal 5-Way women's match to determine who would be Asuka's first victim on the main roster. Well, do you think Emma is winning that match?
0%.
Like, it's less than. Can you be less?
Negative percentage.
Yeah.
Like, Asuka's going to win by 101%.
Right. It was a fun match. I called it. I said Emma was going to be the person that Asuka came up and faced.
In all honesty, and listening to Alicia Fox's comments on her career and how she kind of views it negatively sometimes, I'm surprised that she wasn't the one to win.
Yeah.
And then get demolished.
So,
and I don't know why they're picking Emma.
Yeah. Not quite off topic, but on the topic of Alicia Fox, she's been with the company for 10 years. Mm-hmm. She got her first shirt on WWE Shop this week.
Yep.
That is unbelievable.
That's sad, considering she has, and everyone says that, she has one of the best, if not the best, Northern Lights suplexes in the business.
Yeah. She's a former Divas champion. And to get your first shirt, I mean, we've talked about this, Jinder Mahal becoming champion, not having a shirt. Alexa Bliss, when she became champion, didn't have a shirt.
She didn't have a shirt until she moved to Raw, right?
Yeah, no.
Late SmackDown.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just kind of a joke the way that WWE, it feels like...
The weird thing is, they didn't have shirts when they won their title, but Shield shirts are coming out before the Shield is even the Shield.
Right, because WWE's smart. They know those are going to sell.
Right.
So they didn't come out with Jinder Mahal shirts before he was champion because they knew nobody was probably going to buy them.
No one's still going to buy those shirts.
Right. You know what I mean? Alexa Bliss, nobody knew if people were going to buy those shirts because in NXT, she didn't do anything.
One of the hottest...
Women.
Yes. No, hottest selling shirts out of the women's roster.
Right. And so, I mean, WWE
doesn't see the value in their people.
But they still push them in high-profile situations. Right. And it's very sink or swim for some of them. And
it's like
even if you sink,
hand in hand with,
even if you sink, WWE is going to draw it out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wouldn't say anybody says Jinder has been a successful champion. You know what I mean? He is a fine mid-card worker. If you drop to the mid-card right now and win the U.S. title, I wouldn't think twice about it. No. I'd be like, yeah, that's probably fine.
And is that because he's already won the big belt? Now he feels like he kind of belongs in that shot?
I wouldn't even say that. If they built him up, from a losing streak to winning here and there, winning some more matches, and then a month later won the IC title. If you won the US title when you won the WWE title, I probably wouldn't have been like, what the hell are they doing? Right. You know what I mean? Right. Completely off topic. We tend to do that a lot, but we say one thing and it brings it into another situation.
Wrestling.
That's
all we talk.
So,
spit facts.
Emma is going on to face Asuka at TLC.
So, my prediction already. Asuka's winning that in about 4 minutes.
Oh, wow.
If not
less. You gave Emma a lot longer than I did.
I'm just saying. I love Emma to death. I think she's an underutilized part of that women's division. But I give her 4 minutes or less.
Yeah. Not a whole lot to talk about on that, just because the main story is who is going to face Asuka, and we're going to find out.
Asuka was the more important factor in a 5-person match.
Yeah, and we're going to find out in a couple of weeks how she does.
Yeah.
Main event.
She might be important on the main roster. You never know. She might do some important things. She's only the longest reigning wrestling champion ever.
What?
And
ever.
Asuka beats everyone.
All right, we talked about this a little earlier. It is main event time. Kalisto going over Enzo Amore for the Cruiserweight title.
In a lumberjack match.
That was
classic of WWE.
Very, very, very much on the side of Kalisto.
Yes.
So
I did like that the heels and the faces were like playing that up on the lumberjack portion. Like Mustafa Ali and Cedric Alexander were like, no, we'll help you up, Kalisto. And then like the heels were like, no, fuck that, we're gonna beat the shit out of them.
Yeah.
Like I liked that aspect of it, but it felt a way to get more cruiserweights on screen. Like visually, they're doing the right thing. Decision making is just out the window right now. And we like we talked about earlier, it's going nowhere really fast. And they're trying their best.
Yeah. So we talked about this. We talked about the results. We talked about how we felt about it. Now let's get down to why it happened.
Right.
So apparently, Neville, the rumor was that he left Raw, requested his release. Now reports are coming out that he did not leave Raw because he was never at Raw.
Right.
Not only was he not at Raw, he had not wrestled the live shows, the week prior.
And had been adamant about his request leading up to that week.
Getting released. My question for you is Enzo the sole reason to blame for Neville's unhappiness now?
No. I think he is a big factor in it. And I parallel this with Austin Aries and his situation because I feel like it's very similar. One of the facts is that Austin Aries and Neville's match is not on the WrestleMania 33 DVD.
Which means that
they do not get any royalties from that.
Right.
Home video distribution.
Right.
Which is a big portion of their contract is their royalties for TV, pay-per-views, home media, stuff like that.
Let me ask you a question. Maybe you know this, maybe you don't. Are the pre-show matches normally on the DVDs?
I do not know that for a fact, but I would assume if they are both upset for that reason, then I would say they probably are.
Okay.
I know that on the network, obviously the pre-show and the actual pay-per-view are on separate viewing platforms.
Right.
You have to go watch the pre-show separately from, I don't know why.
Yeah.
But that being said, looking forward, and this is more of a broad topic rather than just the cruiserweights. Like I said, I don't think Enzo is the only reason. I think that everyone in the cruiserweights probably feels the same way about Enzo, about that fact that someone gets a demotion and then immediately wins the belt for that division just because he sells t-shirts and just because he draws attention. That's a horrible reason to give somebody a belt. WWE as a whole has proven over the past year, if not year and a half, I can't remember exactly when Cody Rhodes decided to leave, that they are terrible at managing talent. They are great at accumulating it. They can't do anything with people when they get them.
Right.
And this is what scares me is WWE is accumulating all these guys. And if they don't go to NXT, I'm fearful. So I'm happy that Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, Donovan Dijak, Cassius Ohno, I'm happy all of them are in NXT right now. Aleister Black, guys like that. Because I feel like they're safe. I feel like they're in this impenetrable wall that Vince can't touch. And I don't blame it 100% on Vince because I feel like booking has a lot to do with it.
Why don't you think Triple H has been able to transition to the main roster as, as far as having as much stroke as he does in NXT?
I feel like because NXT is his baby.
Right.
And Vince didn't want anything to do with it and he thought it was a waste of money initially. And now he sees the value in it. He kind of gives Hunter a bit more.
But if he saw what
these guys
Triple H can do with that,
definitely. Why
would he not want him to bring that to Raw and SmackDown?
I feel like Vince is so much of a control freak and has been that way for pretty much his entire life as a businessman. He doesn't want to put the keys of the Ferrari in the hands of another professional driver, regardless of who that person is. Me personally, when I'm driving my car, I feel at ease. When I'm riding as a passenger, I feel a little more tense, a little
100%.
skittish. And I feel like that's Vince in this situation. That being said, I don't feel like Vince doesn't give Hunter or creative the leeway, but Vince, as we all know, has that final say. And I feel like that negatively affects a lot of the acquisitions that WWE comes upon. Getting on to that, I think that negatively affects fans' perception of this brand as WWE as a whole. I feel, me personally, I look at WWE negatively when they can't handle guys like Gallows and Anderson, guys like Austin Aries, who have proven that they can go and they're capable of being the WWE mold. but not given the opportunity when in WWE. When
Right.
you start putting a box around them and saying you can't go outside of that box, kind of are wasting their time because they're not getting any younger. You're wasting your money on those people, and you're wasting the fans' time because they get invested in guys like Austin Aries, like, Adam Cole potentially, depending on what he ever does on the main roster. Sky's the limit with the dude, but if WWE is going to, fuck up the handling of that talent, why bother? So, and this kind of transitions my points into possibly why guys like Kenny Omega, guys like, the untouchables like Okada, Tetsuya Naito, guys that are in New Japan making tons of money, they're probably never going to come to WWE for that reason.
And that was something I wanted to ask you about.
If they know that it's murky waters, that it's very unstable in WWE, if there's a chance that they're not going to get either their way or treated correctly, why bother?
Right.
Why bother jumping ship when you can just continue your lineage where you're at
and potentially make more money?
Exactly.
Because Cody Rhodes came out and said that he is making more money in ROH than he ever made in WWE. So these guys,
this is just prior. This is him just signing a contract with ROH.
Yeah. So, and say what you want about the Young Bucks, about the Elite, about the Bullet Club, they have transcended what it is to be an indie wrestler.
Right.
You do not have to go to WWE
there
anymore.
There is no longer a negative stigma to continuing a career as an indie wrestler compared to going to the quote-unquote major leagues.
Right,
yeah.
Because the big money now, because a lot of the fans now you see are more into the indie style of wrestling because it's not watered down like it is in WWE.
Exactly. This is why PWG can sell out Bola in 5 minutes.
Right, exactly. And it's because of guys like the Young Bucks.
Right.
Those two guys alone have made it possible for you to have a career in wrestling outside of WWE.
And made it known.
Yeah, outside of TNA. You know what I mean? Now, back to Neville. Do you think, because WWE would be stupid to let him walk?
Absolutely. They were stupid to let Austin Aries walk, but I agree.
Well, but so there was a lot of backstage things with Austin Aries too. Apparently he was a big dick to work with.
I can see that.
You know what I mean? So does WWE work something out with Neville? Or is he gone, in your opinion?
If he didn't show up for work, I think his mindset is I'm done. I don't know. I don't see WWE and him coming to similar ground based off of the chain of events that have taken place over the past month or so.
Because what could WWE offer him to bring him back?
He's going to get lost in the mid card, if at all.
I mean, they're not going to push him to the main event level on the quote unquote main roster. You know what I mean? I don't see them saying, "Hey, we'll give you back the cruiserweight title." That's not enough, I don't think, to bring him back. I think WWE really dropped the ball on this. They tend to bite themselves in the ass more times than not when it comes to talent.
Yep.
And
their
this is one of those
success
times.
rate is very skewed.
Absolutely. All right.
That pretty much does it for
that covers Raw.
You want to kind of gloss over SmackDown?
Yeah, SmackDown. Let's just cover some of the main points. We can talk about Owens, Zayn. Let's talk about Jinder Mahal wasn't even there. You didn't even have your WWE champion there.
Who does he think he is, Brock Lesnar?
Yeah. What is wrong with this guy? Let's talk about Baron Corbin, AJ Styles real quick.
So it was a pretty standard match from what I remember. I did kind of not necessarily pay 100% attention to the match. I did see that Corbin retained in a fashion that would not continue the feud.
Right.
Which brings me to my next point. Where does AJ go?
I still think he ends up on Team Shane for the match I'm assuming this is happening at Survivor Series. They haven't said anything yet. I assume he ends up on Team Shane against Team Owens.
So kind of KO and Zayn do their own thing for a couple weeks until Shane is quote unquote medically cleared.
Yeah.
Comes out, cuts promo, and then AJ's like, "Hey, I hate those two guys too."
Yeah. Something like that. I mean, that just seems like something WWE would do.
Right.
But past that, I have no idea. And the reason I say I have no idea is because Jinder Mahal just announced today on some TV show in India, because he's in India right now, that Kevin Owens is his next challenger for the title. But this is in India.
In India, 2 Canadians will fight over a belt.
Yeah, but like this is where maybe AJ goes on a small feud with Jinder Mahal before then, because this isn't supposed to happen until December.
Right.
It's the middle of October. We're getting a month.
Well, because SmackDown has kind of a lull period until Survivor Series, and then they get the first the last pay-per-view of the year.
Right.
I don't know.
I don't know if WWE
when does that tour start? Do you know?
It's in December.
Is it late December or kind of the middle of the month? Because if it's the middle of the month, I could see KO entering a program on TV with him, and then
I feel like
that's kind of what they do.
It's early December.
Okay, I don't know.
I'm not sure where they go with AJ Styles.
And this is something just based off of the possibility of that Team Shane versus Team KO. I could see Sammy and AJ working a program together leading up into the end of the year.
Yeah, that's possible.
And I would personally love to see that. I think they're 2 of the greats that are on the roster. Again, Sammy's been kind of mishandled in terms of direction, but
Survivor Series in November, right?
Correct.
Okay. So yeah,
Yeah.
we could get a couple weeks of AJ versus Sami Zayn.
Right. And then we were talking about this off air about gender and the rumors that Cena is possibly returning at the earliest, probably maybe Rumble pushing it, but could be the contender for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 34, being the one to dethrone him and also breaking Ric Flair's record all at once, giving a joyous ovation from the crowd that we no longer have to look at gender, and that, hey, this guy's paid his dues and finally won.
That would be the smartest way to make sure John Cena gets a huge pop for his record-breaking title reign.
Because there were still, and we went to Rumble when he won 16,
right?
And there were still people booing.
Yeah.
I was not one of them.
Were they booing because he beat AJ Styles?
Possibly, but at the same time, you have to respect the fact that this dude's done this for 20 years. He's put his ass on the line. He's torn muscles, broken limbs. Like, these guys don't do this for entertainment just because they're getting paid. They do it for entertainment because they love what they do, and we love what they do.
You know, I forget about that title run, too, because he lost it a month later.
Right, in the Elimination
Bray
Chamber,
Wyatt, who lost it
because he was
a month later to
AJ
Randy Orton.
AJ and Bray were the final 2, and we thought AJ might get it back, and then Bray won it. And it was, So there's that, and then Jinder obviously could feud, with Kevin Owens leading out of the holiday season, and kind of into, Rumble, whatever, February and March hold prior to Mania. I want to talk about the tag titles real fast.
Hold on, real quick.
Okay.
It makes sense that Kevin Owens is the one that's facing Jinder Mahal, though, because in India, Jinder Mahal is going to be a face.
Oh, yeah.
Going up against the biggest heel in WWE?
You could say that because Braun isn't pictured as a heel because of how he was booked with Roman.
Right.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. All right.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to talk about the tag division.
Real quick, the Usos and the New Day cut a promo together. And they basically had this mutual respect thing between
that's what
other.
I gathered from the Usos saying one word at a time.
Right.
Respect.
Penitentiary.
Oos.
Hey, oos. So let me ask you this. Do you think this kind of ends their feud momentarily? Because the way that promo was cut, it was like, we shook hands, we've been through everything together.
Yeah, I think it does. We talked about this in the last podcast that we thought that this was going to keep going on.
Right.
But
I believe they had a number 1 contender type match.
Yeah, and the New Day were not involved. It was won by Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin.
The Usos were at ringside for that.
Right.
So American Alpha Greatest Tag Team 2.0 came away with that victory. So we were both wrong on both aspects of our where do we go from here prediction thing.
Yeah.
So where do you see that going? Do you see the Usos obviously retaining in that match?
I would think so.
Do you feel like if they won, it would be like American Alpha getting pushed too hard too early on the main roster all over again?
Yeah.
Because they've been a team for a month and a half.
You thought that they got pushed too early the first
American Alpha, when they won their first tag championships, felt... Because they were on the roster, and then I think Jordan got hurt It was like an ankle sprain or something. Kept him off TV for a couple weeks. And then when they came back, it was like, hey, here's the belts. Instead of developing a story, it kind of felt like the Cruiserweight thing where the belt just, for some reason, is not on Neville, and then it is, and then it's not.
See, not to me, because I felt like that they were the most ready team to win the tag team titles.
But it just...
Who did they win them from? Do you remember? It wasn't Rhino and Heath Slater, was it?
It was either them or they won them off the Usos, because the Usos took them off of Heath Slater.
Okay, right? So I think they did win them off the Usos. That sounds right.
Who won them off of the Wyatts when they were freebirding?
God, I don't remember.
I don't know. That's so long ago. Anyway, that was my point, your point on that. I don't know. I don't see the Usos dropping the belts.
I think it was American Alpha now that I think about it.
Winning off the Wyatts?
Yeah,
yeah, because that's when the Luke and Randy thing started.
Yeah.
When they started not seeing eye to eye, and then Luke turned on Bray, and yeah. Okay. So we got that.
So, to stay in the tag team division, though, real quick. The Blunderen Brothers?
Sure.
What the hell is that?
I don't know, but I'm happy they're doing something.
I guess.
It's you kind of put your hands up to the sides. You're like,
yeah.
I guess.
I can't get behind. I'm fine if they are just, Luke Harper and Eric Rowan.
I was too. If they were just some backwoods dudes.
Yeah, but you gave them... No, I mean, even if they... Whatever this gimmick is now, if they still were just...
It's like they're modern day Vikings.
Yeah.
But I can't get behind Eric Rowan cutting a promo where he's talking every single word.
Right.
Like this.
He's like, Rowan Harper. So, I don't know. I'm interested in it.
I want to know what it is. They're probably going to have their own music. It's going to be cool for what it is. Does Luke Harper still wear a dirty tank?
Probably not. Like, that's what I'm saying. I assume, I hope he comes out in tidy whities. Like, I hope he wears wrestling trunks. That would be great.
That'd be awesome. Like AJ style trunks.
Yeah, sure.
He's wearing gloves with like Rowan and Harper written on the hands.
Why the hell not? I'm very interested to see what this is exactly.
I mean, it could go anywhere with that.
Yeah.
So, do you want to stay in WWE and go to NXT, or do you want to
let's cover? Just finish off SmackDown with Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn.
Well, I mean, we all kind of not predicted this based off of Sami's actions, but his excuse for saving the life of Kevin Owens was that regardless of him and Kevin's beef with each other, they will always be brothers, and nothing breaks a brother's bond, regardless of how many times you throw them through ladders, through tables, how many times you haluva kick them consecutively, how many pop-up power bombs to an apron. They're still brothers.
Right.
So Sami took the quote-unquote higher road and prevented murder. And of one person, and pretty much let Shane try to commit murder on himself.
Yeah. I think there's a word for that.
Suicida?
Yeah, it doesn't sound right. Anyways,
it was a tope suicida from the cell. Mamma mia! Anyway, no, I mean, it's pretty much went where everyone thought it was going to go. There was like a weird, awkward bromance hug.
Yeah.
Followed by another awkward bromance hug, because it was like, okay, we're still on TV. Hug again!
Ladies and gentlemen,
right?
Kevin Owens. No. Sami Zayn. Right. Like, they did that for like 45 minutes.
It felt like everything that the Jericho-Kevin Owens friendship was, except we know this has history.
Right.
I'm excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, me too.
Really high on like both of their work styles, and if they tag, I think it would be a good kind of peek behind the curtain for those who didn't know that they used to be a tag team.
Right. This is very refreshing for Sami Zayn.
Yes, definitely. He's in a main event storyline, so to speak, for the first time since ever. Because he only went as high as the IC title, right? Because he was in the ladder match and then he was in the Fatal 4-Way.
Yeah.
Okay.
That sounds about right.
Because everyone thought he was going to win the Fatal 4-Way at Extreme Rules a couple years ago.
Yeah.
That was a great match.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the end of SmackDown as it is.
All right. Let's do a little rapid fire. Let's get into NXT right now. I will let you take this over. I did not watch NXT this week. I had prior engagements, so I will let you have the reins on this one.
Okay, so I kind of watched this as I was at work today. Shout out to work for letting me view
What's up, work?
WWE on the job.
For people who don't know, Rich works with flowers.
Flowers. I'm the flower man.
So if you need flowers, drop it in the comments below. Rich will get you hooked up.
No promises.
You probably won't get any.
But we'll try. Okay. NXT. So, kind of glossed this over. We had Lio Rush versus Velveteen Dream.
This is Lio Rush's debut match,
Debut match, as
because
far as
the last one
he got
was
attacked
interrupted.
prior. Yeah. He got attacked by Velveteen Dream. I think that's what caused this match to actually happen. Because Lio Rush was supposed to wrestle Aleister Black. So it's kind of...
Who was apparently just getting everybody from ROH and beating them in their first match in NXT.
So, this match was pretty damn good. Lio Rush is every part of sprint style that Oney Larkin and guys of that caliber are. Super agile, super fun to watch, very electric in the ring, bounces off the ropes, all kinds of fun moves. Velveteen Dream actually came away with the win, which doesn't do anything bad for Lio Rush, obviously, in his debut match. He's going to have plenty more matches to come before a solid story comes out of that. Velveteen Dream then taunts Aleister Black post-match. I believe he did his little sitting cross-legged with his hands wherever.
They're going to kiss eventually, right?
I don't know.
I think this is where this is leading.
But Spooky Vampire versus Prince is probably one of my favorite feuds ever. So, Dracula versus Prince at NXT TakeOver War Games.
It's going to lead to Aleister Black saying, "I want to suck your blood," and him saying, "I want to suck something else."
Possibly.
Oh my God, I just went there. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen.
We also had a women's match where Peyton Royce came away as the victor in this match.
Who?
Peyton Royce.
Who?
Peyton Royce.
Who?
One more time.
Who?
Came away as the victor. She joins Ember Moon and Kairi Sane in a what will become Fatal 4-Way women's match for the vacant NXT Women's Championship.
Who will be number 4?
I think we can all guess, and I'm going to throw this out there and say it's Nikki Cross.
That makes sense.
She has been kind of the workhorse of the women's division other than Asuka, in my opinion, other than Ember Moon. But Kairi Sane's probably walking away at TakeOver with that belt just because she's awesome. So, we also had Street Profits winning.
Street Profits they're just Crime Time meets.
They're like a more athletic version of Crime Time.
What was Titus O'Neil and Darren Young's?
Oh, the Primetime Players.
Yeah, so it's like those. It's like Crime Time meets the Primetime Players.
Right.
They're entertaining as hell to watch.
They are, and they're super athletic. They picked up their 4th win in a row, so in the past 4 matches, they are 4-0. They're probably slow building them to contend for tag titles eventually. And then after this next match, I want to talk very little about War Games and what is potentially going to be matches there. Okay. So the last match of the night, which, God, these two were great, is Gargano versus Almas with Zelina at ringside. And again, this was worthy of probably a 4-star if you're Dave Meltzer. If you're not, that's fine. You'd rate it however you want. Good storytelling in the match. They continued with the DIY daggers in the heart. Johnny is going for his finisher. I can't remember what he calls it. And
the Gargano lock?
Sure. I don't know if that's the name.
I think that's what it is.
Then we will call it the Gargano lock. He's going for that. The ref's asking Almas if he wants to tap. They are pretty centered in the ring, but Almas's feet are kind of near the ropes. And Zelina gets in Johnny Gargano's eyesight and takes off her jacket, underneath which is a powder blue DIY shirt. Which you are wearing right now. I happen to be wearing the same exact shirt, except hers was a crop top. Mine is not.
Yes, it is. Nobody wants
this midriff. So he looks over, and at first he kind of displays a shocked emotion. Then he kind of starts shaking his head. He's like, "That's not affecting me anymore." Kind of like starts rearing back into this lock. And as he's doing so, he's also rocking back too far, and it allows Almas to get a rope break rather. Brilliant. Then he kind of goes over to the turnbuckle for something. He's on the bottom turnbuckle, and he turns around and eats the double knee from Almas, who then does it again with Johnny's face facing the turnbuckle. So it's like a double finisher. Almas walks away the winner. I want to talk about War Games because I feel like they are pushing Almas to contend for a title. He hasn't lost a match since Aleister Black. at TakeOver Chicago.
I feel like that was already announced.
Was it?
I think so. I feel like it was already announced that it will be Almas versus Drew McIntyre
for the belt at War Games.
For the belt at War Games. Yes.
So we got that. We've also got the women's 4-way, which I'm thinking Nikki Cross is probably going to be that last person. The other match that is pretty much the title of the pay-per-view is the War Games match.
Yes.
Where we have 2 rings.
It should be.
I'm not familiar with this match. I know it was 94, 5, 6.
WCW. It was a pay-per-view. We've had it, more than once.
Right.
It's on. I believe it's on the WWE Network.
I need to look it up.
Go take a look at it.
Will.
Sting has I believe he has the most wins in the War Game matches. Okay. But I digress. That is neither here nor there.
And if my understanding is correct, it's similar to elimination style chamber rules, where one person from every team will enter at a different point in time.
Yeah.
And then there's somehow eliminations go from that.
So here's my thing, is I always get World War III and War Games mixed up. Okay. Because I believe World War III was 3 rings. I think it was 3.
How do you fit 3 rings in an arena?
So I believe it was 3 rings, and you had to win in 1 ring in order to be able to advance into the second ring.
That sounds weird.
Something like that. I don't really remember. Okay. Again, this was long time ago, really young, don't quite remember it. I need to refresh up on the War Games
so I will not take your quote on that. But we are getting a 3-way tag match.
Right.
For the NXT Tag Gold.
Yes.
We are getting Authors of Pain.
Ooh.
Challenging Sanity.
Who?
Sanity.
Ooh.
I don't know who they're going to freebird that belt to. I don't know if we're getting Big Damo in this match or if we're going to get Wolf.
Oh.
Could be both of them and no
Eric Young. Maybe we get Nikki Cross.
As a matter of fact, I think we're getting all 3 minus Nikki Cross. Oh. Because AOP has a new member.
Ooh.
If you want to say it's a member. Roderick Strong.
Hey!
Joining AOP. And they...
What? When did this happen?
I don't think he's physically joining AOP.
When did this go down?
He is kind of just hanging out with them in this match because I
want to see him come down in riot gear.
The other team in this match are the 3 hottest additions to the roster recently.
Undisputed
Era. We got Kyle O'Reilly, Adam Cole, baby, and Bobby Fish.
Okay.
So obviously that match is going to be super fun.
Sure.
I'm excited to see what NXT does moving forward. That's probably my favorite brand of wrestling right now. Now that they are acquiring more talent and they're going to NXT solely, I can see why Triple H a year ago told us that NXT was its own brand.
I hope this is AOP's last match in NXT.
Agree wholeheartedly. Because
they need to be moved to the main roster.
After they move and probably become a hot tag team on the main roster for obvious reasons with the lack of heel tag teams.
Then they can help Roman Reigns win the title.
Possibly be the Roman Empire that we were promised.
Yes.
But also you've got TM61 coming back. I believe Blake is teaming with a NXT veteran.
Blake and Murphy?
Not Blake and Murphy. Murphy is supposedly, this is a pipe rumor, getting called up soon. I don't know why.
To do what?
Mid-card talent.
Sure. Why the fuck not?
Dude can wrestle.
I know.
But Blake and another, I can't remember the gentleman's name, supposedly becoming kind of a more prominent heel tag team. May not ever contend for gold, but they could be the Street Profits next, opposition, whatever.
Which one of them is dating Alexa Bliss?
Murphy.
Son of a bitch.
He's an Aussie.
I know.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why.
He likes to go down under.
Oh! Just went there, ladies and gentlemen.
On that note.
It's time to move away from NXT.
Yes. Okay, so we're going
to go... I think children listen to this show.
Go off
Just kidding. I don't think anybody listens to this show.
As many times as we've said fuck today, I'd cover your ears. So...
Little rapid fire. Let's go.
Rapid fire. What do you want to talk about? Non-WWE. So we got ROH. Global Wars this weekend.
Ring of Honor.
What
are the matches? Do you know what is main eventing?
Not off the top of my head, but I know on the card we have names such as Bullet Club, you've got Young Bucks, Omega, Cody Rhodes, Marty Scurll.
All of them.
All of the Bullet Clubbies.
Hangman Adam Page.
He's on there. I don't think Fale came over with them this trip.
Bad luck for him. See what I did there? You see what I
Shut up.
I hate myself.
I know that guys like Kushida, Takahashi... who is... I'm not fluent in a lot of these guys from New Japan's name, but a lot of their talent came over for Global Wars, obviously with that name, Global Wars.
Will the new junior IWGP heavyweight champion be there?
Mr. William Ospreay?
Mr. William Ospreay.
He will. Whether he is defending that belt or not, I do not know.
Okay.
I know he is slated to have a match. I know Kushida is in a tag match with someone else. So they're obviously, for ROH's sake, not putting those two in the same match for any intents and purposes.
Right.
I want to talk real quick about ROH as a brand and competition for WWE.
Sure, absolutely.
Do you see them as the 2 to WWE's 1?
Yes.
I personally do not.
In North America.
In North America, okay.
Obviously.
Are you excluding AAA?
Yes.
Okay.
I think New Japan is probably... But, okay, I've said this before. I think New Japan... I look at New Japan and ROH as almost one in the same because of how often they exchange talents.
How friendly they are towards each other.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I think New Japan is clearly bigger than ROH is.
I don't think ROH could ever sell 70,000 tickets for one show.
You're probably right.
I mean, as good as the Bullet Club is for their merch sales and their ticket sales, I don't think that is a possibility.
Yeah. So to answer your question, yes and no, because I think that they are almost one in the same.
Okay.
What about you?
I don't think ROH is the top dog.
You think it's TNA?
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously.
Definitely. I love me some
Lucha Underground.
Yeah. To be fair, I have never watched Lucha Underground. I've watched the first episode like 6 times, and I can't get past episode 1.
Why? I don't know. Is it the way that it's filmed? I think
it's the fact that it's shot like a TV show.
You have to get past it.
It disinterested me.
You have to get past
it. But I've seen highlights of matches, and I'm like, holy shit, I need to watch this. But again,
that's a little off topic of wrestling. That's how I've gotten with like Stranger Things and Breaking Bad.
Right.
I haven't watched past the first episode.
Stranger Things is amazing. One. Breaking Bad speaks for itself.
I just can't get past like the first episode. If it doesn't catch my attention immediately, I don't finish it.
You couldn't get past the first episode of Breaking Bad, where it's like, fuck you and your eyebrow.
Yeah, no, I couldn't.
That enough got me to episode 2.
I couldn't do it. I don't know what it was.
Off topic.
I wanted to see, there wasn't enough meth.
I hear you. You wanted more meth in your meth show.
I wanted more meth in my meth show,
okay.
Exactly.
So, moving away from ROH, we can talk next time about this whole WWE Young Bucks cease and desist.
We talked a little bit about it last episode.
It's super petty.
It's extremely petty, yeah.
People losing jobs over it.
Yeah, the writer for WWE went out, took a picture with them, got fired because of it.
Such an unnecessary thing. And again, I feel like this is something that both sides are just going to continuously stir the pot for no reason.
We say it's a very petty thing for WWE, but the Young Bucks started this.
Oh, definitely.
You know what I mean? And WWE is just, quote unquote, defending themselves against what they are doing.
Exactly.
So
I don't disagree with that. I think, being who they are, you could just say, I could give 2 shits. Continue talking. I don't care.
Yeah.
But, when in Rome.
Do as the Roman Reigns does.
Exactly. Pump that fist.
Yeah. There's somebody I want to talk about that is from ROH.
Ooh, Mr.
From Lucha Underground. That is rumored to be on his way to WWE.
Now, who do we know? Johnny Impact?
Not Johnny Impact.
I was close.
You were close.
Yes, because they both start with J, right?
Yes, if J is an R.
Well, good old JR is not wrestling. So
I, of course, am talking about Ricochet. Or Prince Puma.
He was actually in my New Japan segment. So you're moving ahead.
No, I'm not. It's my show.
Okay.
An Anthony show.
But Rich is not in the thing.
Not yet. We need feedback from the fans on if they like you.
Do you guys even like me?
Do you want him back?
All of our listeners.
Write in the comments. All 3 of you, let us know.
Do you even like this voice?
All right. So, anyway, are you excited about Ricochet, or is this again you being afraid that they are going to mishandle a talent like him?
He is I don't want to say once in a lifetime talent, but he's one of those guys that can do a lot of things that nobody else can do.
Yeah, because say what you want, I loved the shit that him and Will Ospreay did. The flippy shit, I thought it was brilliant.
Regardless,
I was extremely entertained by it, and that's all I want from my wrestling is I want to be entertained by it.
Exactly. I want to suspend disbelief. If they're doing flips and kicks and countering every single move, I don't care.
Yeah.
If it looks awesome, I'm gonna be excited.
Exactly.
That being said, I do hope that if and when he signs, because it hasn't been confirmed.
I don't even know if he can sign.
He has a remainder of like 2.5 months on his no compete clause.
Jesus, how long was his no compete clause?
He signed.
Was it 90 days?
Because AAA and like all the fact that they own Lucha Underground, correct?
They don't. I think
there's like a partnership or something.
What I think what it is with Lucha Underground is that they had to sign on for 3 or 4 seasons
and he's
or something
still
like
technically
that.
Wrapping up that.
But they don't even know if that Lucha Underground is going to continue.
Right. So from what I've read and what I've heard, he has X amount of months left on a no compete clause. After that, it's pretty much a done deal that he is going to sign with WWE, more than likely to NXT, hopefully. I say hopefully because, like we talked about earlier, we don't want anyone dropping the ball with a guy like this, especially in front of the main roster audience. The people who don't know who Ricochet is are probably going to be like, oh, he's another one of the cruiserweights. This guy isn't a cruiserweight. You don't win the Best of the Super Juniors. You don't win Battle Los Angeles.
Well, I do.
You don't win the... is he a one-time or two-time junior heavyweight champion?
I feel like he's only a one-time.
Okay. So he's got lineage in other places. So to drop that ball of a talent, I mean, that's pretty much them dropping Finn.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this guy is...
If you have never seen him...
Yeah, you need to look up Ricochet on YouTube. If not, get some PWG stuff and watch that, because the stuff he is capable of doing... I think just what comes to mind is a match with Jeff Cobb from Battle Los Angeles 2016. Great match.
Mm-hmm. The Monster Matanza from Lucha Underground,
but also
Jeff Cobb. And that's another person. If you have not watched Jeff Cobb,
just go watch Indie Wrestling.
Yeah,
there's so Lee,
just like
many good guys out there.
There was another rumored person that WWE is interested in. We saw him at the Evolve show.
First show or second show?
First show. What was his name? He had the water pack on his back.
Oh, Action Jackson.
Was that who that was?
Yes,
okay, who did he wrestle?
I can't remember. But he also he was one of the security guards during the TakeOver segment with Seth.
Yeah.
I can't remember who he wrestled.
Okay. I digress. I don't think that's it.
Is it somebody from Catchpoint?
I thought so. I don't know.
Okay.
Let's move on.
Okay.
It'll come to me at another time.
As you said, we're going to move on to New Japan. William Ospreay, first British-born junior...
Did you just call him William?
William. Will Ospreay is the first British-born junior heavyweight champion of New Japan. As long as that promotion has been around, that's actually quite surprising. Especially with guys like Zack Sabre Jr. over there. The fact that they gave it to the young up-and-comer, and I say that because Will Ospreay is younger than the both of us.
Yeah. It's like, what, 24?
If that.
Yeah, 23.
He might still be 22, 23.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's exciting. We get, kind of a feel-good moment for one of the younger guys in the business that hasn't necessarily been seen in the greatest of lights by a lot of the vets and a lot of fans.
And a lot of that has to do with the stuff that he did with Ricochet.
Which, if you ever watch this guy, how are you not entertained?
I don't know.
The stuff he can do in a ring just flawlessly 90% of the time. A lot of people say it's because of his selling, that he doesn't necessarily sell throughout a match and keep the match psychology going, which makes sense, but I digress. Another thing is, with Global Wars, it kind of had the mind churning for what Wrestle Kingdom next year is going to be like, which is early January.
Yes.
We get Tetsuya Naito challenging for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship against
Okada.
Kazuchika Okada.
So, my opinion on this, I think Naito wins, and then I think Kenny Omega beats Naito to finally get
that belt,
the IWGP Heavyweight title.
See that, especially if
has he even defended the U.S. title since he's won it?
He defended it against Juice again. He defended it against Juice at Destruction, I want to say is the name of it, and I think he is defending it tomorrow or Sunday night at Global Wars.
Okay,
excuse me. And I think once he drops that, that's when we'll know if he's actually going to win.
Right.
I feel like if WWE is his destination at any point in the next 5 years,
I don't know if it is.
and I honestly can't answer that anymore. I used to think it was.
Right.
I even thought him as a dark horse for the Royal Rumble 2018.
Yeah.
Probably not going to happen.
Nope.
If we see him win, not against Okada, that tells me he's leaving. I feel like with New Japan, they protect their guys at all costs.
Yes.
Which doesn't bother the fans over there as much as us. We hate the fact that like Super Cena happened.
Yeah.
Okada has lost like 8 matches in 5 years.
Yeah.
So be mad about Roman all you want. Don't watch New Japan if you're going to be like that, because it's a lot more fun to watch those guys compete and then barely squeak by. The storytelling's a lot better in their ring psychology.
Because I do think what was interesting was during the G1 climax, Kenny Omega actually beat Okada.
Right.
But it wasn't for the title.
No, and it also wasn't his pool, right? It wasn't even a pool match. It was just,
I thought it was.
Well, Naito beat Omega in the final to become the challenger for the belt.
Right.
So I'm thinking,
I guess not. So, because the champion is always in the G1, which I think is weird.
Right.
Because
He
it's
can
supposed to
challenge
be.
himself.
Yeah. I think maybe I thought that's what the G1 was always for, was to determine who would eventually
like
go
the
on to
number one
face.
contender.
Sure.
Right.
A tournament.
Which I think WWE need to start doing formats like that, because it would make month spans go by a lot faster.
Yeah.
Where their story just feels dull and stuff like that, like little random tournaments for no reason, just to have a fatal 4-way every now and then, or have a tournament to determine number one contender for next year's whatever.
Right.
Next year's SummerSlam.
That was always one of my biggest complaints with WWE, is like it got to the point where to be the number one contender, you had to beat the champion in a non-title match.
Right.
And I always hate that, because I hate seeing the champion. Yeah, I hate seeing the champion lose in non-title matches, though. It's one of my biggest pet peeves in wrestling.
Yep.
But I digress.
The other thing I wanted to talk about was, as soon as Will Ospreay won, the villain decided to tweet out and say, "I know who I'm coming for next."
Marty Scurll.
So,
Party Marty.
I feel like he is underutilized in Bullet Club.
You think so? He was the ROH TV champion for a while.
Right. But I feel like as a whole, that was prior to his Bullet Club becoming a member. When it comes down to him in a wrestling format, I feel like he himself is enough of a star to not necessarily need the moniker Bullet Club.
I agree.
Nothing against it. But I feel like Marty is a big enough asset in the wrestling world to not only draw, because whenever he does his stuff with ICW or his indie scene over the UK, his crowd reaction is insane.
Yes, I agree.
The stuff he does with Zack Sabre Jr. when they're a tag, it's like the Angry Brits or something.
Right.
Like some catchy something. Their reactions over there are so good, and he's not repping Bullet Club when he's doing it. So maybe I'm reading into it too much. I don't think at Wrestle Kingdom, Scurll beats him, because I think he is another person that is destined for WWE in some
think so too.
Way, shape, or form over the next year or two.
I agree with that.
And that's pretty much all I got. Again, we kind of touched base on the Bullet Club stuff enough. I just think that whole situation is probably a little too petty for what it is.
Yes, I agree.
But as a whole, good week of wrestling, not too bad. So
I enjoyed it this week.
I did too. I'm looking forward to TLC. I don't think it's going to be as big as some people are expecting. Obviously, being a pay-per-view, and you've got 3 titles not being defended. You got tag belts not on the line, the IC title not on the line, and Brock's nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
So that women's titles match is going to be the only, other than the cruiserweight.
And that women's title match is Alexa Bliss versus Mickie James. Not that there's anything wrong with either one of them, but
just feels like that feud is...
Yeah, so there is nothing wrong with that match, but that is going to be the only title match on the card.
Right.
So that is all I have for you this week. Do you have anything left for me?
Nope.
All right,
I'm
ladies
good.
and gentlemen, thank you for listening again. This is Mark Out Wrestling. Make sure you like us on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter at 816 Podcasting. We are also on Stitcher. Make sure you go there. Check us out, 816 Podcasting. Make sure you guys listen to From Sacco to Shiva with Chase and Tom for all of your fantasy football questions. They are killing it over there. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening. Have a good night.